Hello and welcome back to my channel, Stitches with Love. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Elizabeth and this is my corner of the world where I share all of my knitting adventures on and off the needles. And today I'm going to talk about my yarn stash and what that looks like for me, what kind of yarn I have on hand, and what I do with all of this yarn. So if you're interested, grab a cup of something cozy and come along with me. I'm working on a cup of coffee. This is just plain boring coffee I buy at our discount grocery store. And then I made it in my stovetop espresso maker, added a little cream and stevia, and it's really very good. It's very rich. It has cooled way down since I made it, and there's really not a lot left, so I'm not bothering to reheat it. I'm just gonna drink it cold. It's not as good cold, but it'll do the job. All right, so let's talk for just a moment about yarn stashes, because for every single knitter, that's going to look different. Some people only buy what they need for a project, make their project, and then buy more. Some people buy yarn in advance knowing that they're going to use it for some point for something. And some people just keep whatever leftovers they have from their projects until they have something to make up something else. There are a dozen different categories for what a stash might look like. Maybe you keep yours in a basket tucked away in the corner of your home somewhere. Maybe you have an entire closet or maybe a room full of yarn and knitting materials. Maybe you don't go that extreme and you just have a small closet or shelf. However you have your stash, I think it's okay to have one. I think that if you have a really good stash of yarn you're going to use and what you use most often, that's really the important thing. So my stash is not going to look the same as someone else's, and that's okay. My stash is made up pretty much of what I know I'm going to use. So we're going to go ahead and talk about what exactly I use most often. So this is how I store all of my yarn, regardless of what type. This is my sock yarn, and I'm running out of room in my bin. I picked this up at the dollar store. I think it was like $5 maybe less than that. But it's perfect because I can see exactly what it is. I don't do any fancy labeling. This is just masking tape and a Sharpie. But it holds all of my sock yarn for upcoming projects. I know at a glance what I have. I don't bother to color code or organize by the fiber content. I just throw everything in the bin, and then when I'm ready to knit socks, I can just come here and know exactly what I have on hand. So I have a bin for sock yarn. I have a lot of sock yarn because that is what I knit most often. And I like knowing that I have a good size stash of sock yarn so that if I'm wanting to knit something in a particular color or pattern, I can go to my stash first and I've got a pretty good variety to pick from. And then if I really don't have anything that appeals to me, I can pick up a new color. But I would not consider this to be an excessive amount because it's what I do most frequently. Now my second stash bin is quite a bit larger. It's this behemoth. You can't even see it in the camera. It's so big. This is just another cheap tote that I picked up. But this has mostly worsted weight yarn. Worsted weight is the yarn I use for sweaters, hats, that kind of thing. I'm not going to take the time to go through and show you everything in here, but this is all worsted weight with a little bit of DK and a little bit of sock yarn. But I knit a lot of sweaters, and so again, I want that separate so that I can go right to the bin. I know what I have, and then if I need a different color, I will go and buy a different color. But I do like having worsted on hand because it's just convenient to have what I need for a small sweater or a hat or something. It's actually a pretty full bin right now because I have a lot in here for different projects I'm working on. And then my third part of the stash, and actually I need to go grab it. It's just out of my reach. Hang on just a second. Okay, I'm back. So the third part of my stash is my basket of just dishcloth cotton worsted weight. This is all cotton yarn I use for dishcloths. So I mentioned in my previous podcast that my mother and I knit these dishcloths every year and sell them at a Christmas bazaar at work. And again, it's just nice to know I have a separate basket so that when I need to make dishcloths, I know exactly where everything is. I know what colors I have. Everything just lives in this one basket. And then as I finish these dishcloths, and actually I've got one on the needles here. It's almost done. I really need to just finish it. They go into this basket, which is kind of a mess right now. Dropping everything. Everything goes into this basket. These are all finished dishcloths. So this was actually one of the projects I didn't show in my previous video, but if you're really, really curious, these are what they look like. They are just a basic diagonal knit eyelet border dishcloth. And I need to weave in all of the ends, but I sell these, and they sell like hotcakes. I always have a few left over to give us a head start for the next bazaar, but this is what they look like. This is what I was talking about, what I didn't show. And we just make different colors, and they're all fun. They go really quick. I can make a couple of them in a day if I really have time to dedicate to just knitting. This is a project that I often take to work with me because it requires very little effort to and concentration. I can just do it right there at my desk, and I can finish a dishcloth in one shift if I'm really not having a lot of other responsibilities to do, but oftentimes that doesn't happen, and that's okay. So that's my stash. That's really all I have. I have dishcloth cotton yarn. I have a bin of worsted weight that I use for sweaters, and I have a bin for sock yarn. All of this fits very nicely into a single closet. It does not take up a lot of space. And then probably a couple of times a year, I go through all of my stash yarn and I give away what I know I'm not going to use. Maybe I'm not interested in it anymore. Maybe they're not colors I really want. So I find another crafter and I give them away. I did that recently, which is part of why my stash is a little less than what it was. But it's very important to me that I not allow my hobby to completely take over my life, to completely take over my home. I don't see a reason to have a huge stash that I know I'm never going to use. If you hold on to yarn, that's fine. You probably have a good reason. I just don't see a reason to hold on to yarn, especially when I know I'm never going to use it or it does not have any sentimental value. So however you manage your stash, however you stock your stash is up to you. I'm not here to comment either way. This is just what I have and what works well for me. Let me know in the comments how you do your stash. Do you buy yarn because you just love it and you know you're going to use it? Or do you buy yarn just a little bit at a time Do you buy yarn only when you're running low and you know you need to restock what you use most often? I'm really curious how other people manage their yarn. Drop a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to go put this away and get my boys ready for school, and then hopefully do a little bit of knitting before my day gets too busy. Until next time, happy knitting, and we'll see ya. Bye.